You want your POV footage to look and sound like this, right? But instead, it looks more like this. In this video, I'm going to run through my exact POV helmet setup, camera settings, and color grading for both day and night footage. I'm using the Insta360 Ace Pro 2. If you have this camera, you'll be able to follow along 100%, but if you use a different action camera, don't worry, most of the settings and tips are universal to all cameras. I'm using the Shoei XSPR Pro, and I believe this is the best helmet for the least wind noise. In order to mount my camera to the helmet, I am using an adhesive sticky mount from Chin Mounts that is designed to perfectly fit the XSPR Pro. Chin Mounts design mounts for pretty much every single type of helmet and brand you can think of. So if you want a chin mount, use my code Jesse10 to save 10% on your order. Then I use the J mount attachment with a short straight link that screws into the magnetic mount for the Ace Pro 2. Everything I mentioned in this video will be linked in the description, so it's easy for you to find. And I slide that setup into the chin mount slot ready for mounting. Then for audio, so I can motovlog, I use the Insta360 mic adapter plugged into the Ace Pro 2, allowing me to plug in a lavalier mic that I wire around my helmet to stick out of my cheek pad. I have used all sorts of lav mics, including the Rode Lav Go, the Rode Lav Premium 2, and now currently I am trying out the DJI Lav mic, which I am really liking so far. Lastly, and most importantly, I use ND filters. We'll talk more about these on the ride.
And we're out on the ZX6R, and I'm going to run through my camera settings on the Ace Pro 2. First things first, so you want to jump into the internal settings of the Ace Pro 2, go into the image settings and make sure the bitrate is set to high. Its default is set to standard, so make sure you set that to high. And the next thing in the internal settings, you want to go to your external mic output gain and change that down to -6. That's what I have mine set at right now with the mic setup I'm using. How good is this? This is beautiful. I've never been down here before. I'm glad. I just took a random back road and it took me here. It's so nice. Yeah, with those internal settings out of the way, let's jump on the bike and we'll run through my updated settings for the Ace Pro 2. So in this video, I'm going to be very straightforward with my settings. I'm going to be running through the exact settings I'm using right now for this footage, just to keep it super simple for you to follow along and just input these settings into your camera. I did recently do a collaboration video with Insta360 on their official YouTube channel, going more in depth to all the different features and settings you can use within the Ace Pro 2. But for this video, I'm just going to be explaining my exact new updated Insta360 Ace Pro 2 settings I am running for both day and night. Later on, we're going to get into my nighttime settings at nighttime, obviously. First off, we got our daytime settings to run through. Firstly, of course, I'm shooting at 4K with a frame rate of 30 frames per second with a manual shutter speed of 1/60, following the 180-degree shutter rule, which is doubling your shutter speed for your frame rate. So in our case, 30 frames per second, doubling that would equal 1/60, so that gives us our shutter speeds. And because our shutter speed is locked at 1/60, we need those little things that I mentioned earlier called ND filters. They're basically sunglasses for your camera, and they come in at different strengths. We got ND8, ND16, and ND32 in this Insta360 pack. Right now I'm running an ND16, but I'm kind of feeling like it might be still a little bit too bright. I might have needed to choose ND32, but I think we should be fine. Look, we're coming into some shadows right now, so we should be okay. If I wasn't using ND filters right now, this shot would be completely overexposed. And that's why you need ND filters when doing the 180-degree shutter rule, because you want that smooth motion blur, and the way to get that smooth motion blur is to double the shutter speed for the frame rate. If I wasn't using ND filters and had the shutter speed set to auto, the exposure would be good, but we wouldn't be getting this smooth motion blur. Next is HDR. I actually like now to have this setting turned on. Originally, I didn't like this setting, but paired with another setting I'll be mentioning further on in the video, it's a really nice combo and works really well. So I have HDR turned on. Stabilization, right now I have it set to off. This is the option I prefer. You can have it set to the low stabilization option, but I just prefer having stabilization off and being more immersed. Gives more realism to the shot and just, I don't know, makes it look better in my opinion. But some people, as I have been told in my comments, they get a little bit jarred by all the head movements, and mainly the head movements is coming from me explaining stuff. So I'm going to try my best to keep my head still while I'm explaining things. Oh yeah, it's very dark through here. Hopefully we can still even see anything. Next on the settings is the FOV, and of course we set the FOV to action wide, which is the widest option, giving you an FOV of 157 degrees. I'm not really going to be able to focus on good lines or go fast right now as I'm explaining my settings, but I'll do my best to multitask. We're pretty much halfway through the settings already. You just want to swipe from the right and change the auto settings over to manual. Firstly, for the color profile, I've actually changed my opinion on this after a bit of testing. Originally, I was shooting in the standard color profile until the Ace Pro 2 came out with a firmware update releasing the flat color profile option, and since that update came out I was using the flat color profile. And just recently, since I was creating my new LUTs for the JV2 LUT pack, I was creating all the combination LUTs for all the different action camera log profiles, including Ace Pro 2 iLog, and it got me testing this log profile out even though I know the Ace Pro 2 is an 8-bit camera. You'd think it kind of defeats the purpose and isn't worth it, but after a bit of testing, I'm really liking the way iLog is looking, especially paired with my new JV2 LUT pack with the combination LUTs designed for iLog. And don't worry, later on in the video we'll be getting into the details of my color grading process for my Ace Pro 2 footage. So yeah, right now we are shooting in iLog on the Ace Pro 2, paired with the HDR option turned on. This is a really nice combo. It's giving me an image I really like, and I can actually push quite far in editing even though it's in 8-bit still. We got iLog enabled. Next is the shutter speed, which we already have set at 1/60, and then we have our ISO, which I set to a 400 max just in case I go into any shady areas like this. The ISO can turn itself up and compensate for the dark areas. Next setting is the EV. Just leave this on the default 0 because we are shooting in manual settings. And then for white balance, also just leave this on auto because we're riding a motorcycle through a bunch of different changing environments and conditions, and we want the white balance to adjust itself because while we're riding the motorcycle we can't change the white balance manually, so just leave that set to auto. Pull over here. Perfect timing actually, because we're on our last setting. Every time I've come up here it's been foggy. This is the one time I've come up here with blue skies. Wow, I can actually see all the way over there. And the last setting being sharpness. I like to have my sharpness set at low, and I can add a little bit of sharpness later in post if I need to, but if you're not planning on adding sharpness and doing a bunch of editing later on, I recommend using the medium sharpness level. But with all these settings combined using HDR and iLog, low sharpness is definitely the best option to go with when paired with those, because we want the shot looking as least digital and artificial as possible so we can do all of the editing and color grading later on in post. Since we're here at this beautiful spot, I'm going to set the bike up real quick and get some cinematic shots on the Ace Pro 2 in iLog and then see how we go.
Now I'm going to demonstrate the differences between the color profiles. This clip is shot in the standard color profile. Now this one is in the flat color profile, and this is shot using the iLog color profile. On our standard color profile clip, there's not much we need to do and not much we can do really without breaking the image. So I've just added one of my Rec 79 creative LUTs and turned the intensity down. Here is our flat color profile shot, and this gives us a little bit more room to play with the colors and contrast in post. Here I have added my Ace Pro 2 flat combination LUT designed for the flat color profile. And when shooting in iLog, we get quite a bit more room to manipulate and play with the colors even though it's in 8-bit. Here's the before and after using my Ace Pro 2 iLog combination LUT Serene with a few other color grading adjustments. And as you can see, the image looks less digital, softer, but still really high quality. So let's head back home and I'll show you my exact process to grade these shots. Here we are in DaVinci Resolve. I'm going to be showing you my color grading process in DaVinci Resolve, but you should be able to get similar results editing in other editing softwares such as Premiere Pro. Here we have the shots I just filmed, our clip in iLog, our clip in the standard color profile, and our clip in the flat color profile, and I'm going to show you how I color grade all of these. First, we'll start off with the iLog clip. So we'll just come down here and open up the color page tab in DaVinci Resolve, and I'll show you what you need to do to log footage to get it to a ready to color grade space. So basically, we need to convert this footage from log to Rec 709. Insta360 has an Ace Pro 2 iLog to Rec 709 conversion LUT, which if I apply this to my node here, as you can see, the footage is now converted from log to Rec 709. And you can find this conversion LUT on Insta360's website to convert your log footage to Rec 709 on the Ace Pro 2. And after this node, you can add your color adjustments or add your Rec 709 LUTs. So in my V2 LUT pack here, we got Rec 709 Creative LUTs. I'm selecting the Rec 709 Creative LUTs because we are now in a Rec 709 color space, going from log into a Rec 709 color space on this side of the node. So yeah, we can just select one of these LUTs. It's a bit too intense, so we'll turn down the intensity to 0.6, and that looks pretty good. But in my new JV2 LUT pack, I've created what I like to call combination LUTs, where it is the conversion LUT and the creative look in one. So you skip the step of having to download the conversion LUT and do everything manually. If we go to my JV2 LUT pack, and if you get the action camera edition, you will get the action camera LUTs as well as the Rec 709 creative LUTs. But here I'm using the ultimate edition, which comes with all of the additions for drones, iPhone and pro cameras like the Sony I'm shooting on right now. If you want to learn more about the new JV2 LUT pack and my full in-depth color grading guide, check out my previous video before this one. I go super in depth into my color grading process. But for this video, we'll be specifically talking about color grading my action camera footage. So we'll open up the action camera LUTs, and as you can see, we got combination LUTs for DJI, for the Osmo Action 4 and 5, for the Osmo Pocket 3, as well as combination LUTs for GoPro flat color profile, GoPro log color profile, and of course here we have combination LUTs for Insta360 Ace Pro 2 footage. We have AP2 flat color profile, which we'll use on this flat color profile footage here later, and the AP2 iLog combination LUTs color profile that we'll be using on this clip right here. So let's select one of our LUTs right here, and as you can see, it is doing the conversion and giving us the creative color look in one click. Look at that, so sick. So if we scroll through these LUTs here, as you can see, the creative look is changing, but it is also converting the footage from that log state to Rec 709 with the creative look in the same LUT. So I'm gonna stick with Serene here. It's my favorite LUT for this clip. This is not the only thing I do to color grade my footage. I'm gonna rename this node to combination. So that's our combination LUT doing the conversion and the creative look in one. And I'm gonna create a few nodes beforehand and one node after as well. So we got 5 nodes here in total. On my first node, I'm gonna rename this to soften. My second node, I'm gonna rename to exposure, curves, last node, sharpen. So our combination LUT has already gotten our footage looking really nice, but we can make it look even better. So on our first node here, something I actually like to do to my action camera footage is further softening the footage in post. So as you know, I use the low sharpness option in camera, but I also like to further soften the image in post. It makes it look less digital. So we'll open up this section right here, the primary color wheels, and we'll come to our mid/detail and turn this down to around -15. I don't know if you can really tell, but if you look up in the trees, it kind of creates this softened bloomish kind of look. And to me, that just looks much cleaner. Look closely at the shot with me here. Enabled, disabled, enabled, disabled. It's very subtle, but for action camera footage, I like taking this step. Next is exposure, and I'm gonna come to the HDR wheels and actually turn our exposure down a little bit. We'll go to -15. I was probably using the wrong ND filter on this day. I was running ND16 when maybe I should have been running ND32. As you can see, it's a beautiful, bright, blue sky, sunny day. And if I scroll through the clip here, when I get into the open areas without shade, it gets quite overexposed. But because we are shooting in log, it actually gives us quite a lot of room to push and pull the colors. Even though it's still an 8-bit, I've found pushing and pulling the colors on the Ace Pro 2 in iLog, I actually have quite a bit of flexibility. So as you can see, this clip it's overexposed, but using the global HDR exposure slider here, I can actually bring this image back down to a pretty nice spot without it breaking, and it's still only 8-bit. So I'm actually gonna leave this around. We'll go -25. We don't have to go too crazy with it. So I'm happy with the exposure there. Next, we'll jump into the curves and we will enable editable splines. And I just like to roll off the highlights a little bit more and then lift the curve up for a bit of contrast. Same thing for the shadows, dropping the curve to add a bit of darkness, and then we'll also lift it to give a bit of fade to the blacks. That looks a little bit nicer to me. A bit of contrast, a bit of fade in the blacks, and a roll off in the highlights, correcting our exposure even more, making it look nice. And lastly, we have our sharpen node here. I'm gonna open up the blur tab and just turn down the radius to around 0.48. And it just brings that sharpness back into the shot in a very clean way. You don't wanna turn this radius slider down too much because then it just starts looking absolutely crazy. So just to -0.48 is a nice place that I like it, and this shot is looking really nice. There's the before, we've got the combination LUT doing the conversion and the creative look in one. Soften our clip, adjust the exposure, add a nice subtle curve for contrast, and lastly we'll add a little bit of sharpness back into the clip. And that's basically my process for color grading the Ace Pro 2 iLog footage. Of course, we can come into the combination LUT here and flick through the different combination LUTs and see which we prefer for the scenario. So yeah, this one I'm going with Serene, looks really good. And yeah, that's pretty much all I do to color grade my Ace Pro 2 iLog footage to get it looking nice and cinematic. If you're interested in these combination LUTs, definitely go check out the JV2 LUT Pack Action Camera Edition, no matter if you're editing on the Ace Pro 2 or you got the Osmo Action 5 or even a GoPro. There are LUTs in there that are designed and suited for whatever camera and log profile you're shooting on. Okay, and what if you decide not to shoot in log? Here we have the clip that is shot in the standard color profile. So all I would really do to this clip is go to my Rec 709 Creative LUTs, because the standard color profile is already Rec 709. So we're going to come here, we'll grab Serene again for consistency, add that on there, and we're going to turn the output or the intensity / opacity down to around 60% here. We don't want it too powerful. The Rec 709 Creative LUTs give you the ability to actually turn down or up the intensity of the LUT to your liking. So for this clip, I'll probably even go 0.5. But honestly, that's pretty much all I would really do to this clip. Next, we have our shot filmed in the flat color profile. So we'll go into our LUT pack, find Action Camera LUTs, Insta360, Ace Pro 2 Flat. And these are designed to color grade the flat color profile. So we'll choose Serene here. And as you can see, pretty much done, good to go. Forest, Viridial, and they're all ready to go, ready to be applied, and that's pretty much it. Again, you can do the soften and then sharpen in the end if you want to, and that's the basics on how I color grade my POV footage out of the Ace Pro 2. You can apply these techniques and practices to any action camera you're using, and if you're interested in the V2 LUT pack, click the top link in the description to check it out and learn more.
Told them I don't wanna talk, niggas stay home and they still in the pot. They tryna get a reaction, nigga, I'm next.
Now, for off-roading POV footage, there are only a few things that I changed from my road riding settings. I still shoot 4K, but at 60 frames per second with a shutter speed of 1/120, doubling the shutter speed from the frame rate to continue getting that natural motion blur. Select the correct ND filter depending on the conditions and exposure. I also enable stabilization, selecting the low option. Since I'm hitting lots of bumps and jumps, I feel as though a bit of stabilization is necessary. This footage is shot in the iLog color profile, following the same color grading practices I demonstrated previously. If you don't want to shoot in iLog, you can select the standard color profile or the flat color profile.
Told them I don't wanna talk, niggas stay home and they still in the pot.
Alright, it is nighttime now. We're back out on the ZX6 and we're going to run through my nighttime settings on the Ace Pro 2. My night settings are special to the Ace Pro 2 because of the Ace Pro 2's pure video mode. It's the best at low light. So I'm going to run through the settings I use with pure video mode in order to get the best POV footage possible. First things first, at nighttime you do not want to run ND filters. ND filters are like sunglasses for your camera, and at nighttime there's no sun, so you want to make sure you remove the ND filters. I always get the question, should I use ND filters at night? And the answer is no, just completely take them off. You don't need them at all. You want as much light coming into the sensor as possible. So changing the Ace Pro 2 over to pure video mode, my settings are as follows. Firstly, I'm shooting at 4K in 30 frames per second. The Ace Pro 2 can go up to 60 frames per second in pure video mode, which is what I was using to get a few of these slow motion shots of the ZX6 here. But for the best low light image quality possible, you want to use 4K 30 because it enables the pure video plus mode. So for my POV night rides, I'm shooting in 4K 30 frames per second. And for stabilization, this is again more of a personal preference. Right now I have stabilization set to low. The only two options I'd use is either low or off completely. I'm going to get a few tests of stabilization off and on low, and we'll see which one we prefer. Next, of course, you want to be shooting in the action wide FOV, the widest field of view, 157 degrees. And then you want to swipe from the right and open up the settings. For my color profile, I'm just leaving this on standard. My EV is set to -0.7. I like to underexpose it a little bit because pure video mode at nighttime tends to really overexpose the footage and it looks nearly closer to daytime than it does nighttime, so I underexpose it a little bit. White balance is set to auto to change for whatever lighting conditions we move into, and later on in editing I do a couple tricks to make the white balance look a little bit better. Focus mode set to matrix. Next is the anti-flicker mode, leave it on anti-flicker mode. And lastly, the sharpness, I have that set all the way down to the low option. And that's pretty much it for my pure video settings. We got the camera dialed in, and now we're going to talk about audio. So for my night ride POV videos, I actually use the DJI Mic 2, and I don't connect it to the Ace Pro 2 via Bluetooth because the audio quality is absolutely terrible when pairing it via Bluetooth. I actually just record internally 32-bit float to the DJI Mic 2, sync it with the Ace Pro 2 with a click, and later on I will line it up in editing. As for how I set up the mic and where I position it, I actually like to wrap the mic in a microfiber cloth so it's as suppressed as possible, and then I shove it in to my bag in a nice pocket that's holding it still so it's not shaking around much. And you also want to make sure your bag doesn't have many things in it, otherwise you're going to hear a lot of rattling in the bag as well as the exhaust sound, so you want to make sure your bag's pretty empty. Or another spot I put it, still wrapped in the microfiber cloth, my motorcycle pants I have here from Ride Rich actually have this nice little cargo pants pocket, and I shove the mic in there on the exhaust side sometimes and get the audio from there. So I'm going to test out both options, the mic in the bag, the mic in the pocket, and we'll see which one sounds the best. But yeah, that's basically my audio setup. If I want to get pure sound of just the exhaust, I just use the DJI Mic 2, recording 32-bit float internally, and if I want to moto vlog like I'm doing now, I use my lav mic setup that's wide around the helmet. Yeah, let's get everything set up. We'll go for a bit of a night cruise and get some sample footage. Alright, we're synced up. I've not actually done any proper audio recording with the new exhaust with the DJI Mic 2, so I'm interested to see what this sounds like. I had a few comments in my last night ride video saying it's a little bit jarring watching my head shake around for a long period of time. So I'm thinking for my chill night ride videos like this, it's nicer to have the stabilization on, so it's more relaxing to watch, because that's kind of the purpose of the video, with the nice relaxing music. But for a normal moto vlog, I think I'd prefer to have stabilization off. Like this clip I recorded earlier during sunset with pure video mode looks absolutely beautiful. When you have stabilization turned on, it actually crops in a little bit to obviously do the stabilization. So having stabilization off actually gives you a little bit wider of an FOV. So keep that in mind. If you want the widest FOV possible, stabilization off is the way to go. Got the mic in my pocket now, and we'll also do a proper demonstration of no stabilization. Yeah, so the mic in the backpack definitely sounds better in this case, and for stabilization, that's personal preference and up to you. But let's head home now and I'll show you how I edit and color grade my night footage. Firstly, we have the Insta360 Studio opened up here, and this is an optional step. You don't have to do this, but I'm going to be adding some artificial motion blur using the Insta360 Studio with Motion ND. I have my clip loaded into the software here, and if we come to this icon right here and enable that, we now have Motion ND enabled. Come up here to this section, scroll down to your Motion ND settings, and for the spread, type in 25, and for your intensity, go around 45. And I've found these are the best results to get the most realistic looking motion blur out of Motion ND in the Insta360 Studio. Then you just want to export your clip out at a ProRes 422 LT file so it stays high quality and keeps all the color information. The file is going to be pretty big though. Now we've got our footage loaded into DaVinci Resolve. We'll open up the color page tab and I'll go through my color grading process with the night footage. So firstly, I'm going to start off with applying a LUT from one of my LUT packs. So we're going to rename this node to LUT.
For my night footage in pure video mode, we're shooting in a standard color profile, which means we will use a Rec 709 Ready Creative LUT. We'll go to our LUTs folder, and I'm actually going to go to the JV1 LUT pack, as a few of the LUTs in this LUT pack I actually prefer for night footage. And since the release of the V2 LUT pack, and with the new features like the different editions and the combination LUTs, I've gone ahead and upgraded the old V1 LUT pack, which was only just standard Rec 709 Creative LUTs, to also include different editions and combination LUTs. So the JV1 LUT pack is now upgraded to have the same features and updates as the V2 pack. Quickly, I just need to mention all previous owners of the V1 LUT pack should have received an email from me with a free upgrade to the Ultimate Edition of the V1 pack, because you are legends, and I promised as long as you own the pack, you get lifelong updates. With that out of the way, back into the edit, we're going to open up the Rec 709 Creative LUTs in our JV1 LUT pack, and the two LUTs I actually really like for night footage are Timeless and Essence. So I'm going to go with Essence for this one right here. As you can see, that's already giving us a pretty nice look, but I'm going to turn the opacity/intensity down to around 0.65. Happier with that. We have our LUT set and our basic look ready. I'm going to add a node beforehand, and we're going to rename this Cool. I actually want to cool off this image a little bit more with our primary color wheels and using the temperature slider. I wouldn't usually use the temperature slider to accurately adjust white balance, but in this case, I'm not trying to adjust white balance. I'm literally just trying to cool off the image. So we're going to use our temperature slider and turn it down to, like, I don't know, minus 1200, I think. Yeah, that looks pretty nice in this clip. It just cools it off, makes it look cleaner, and gets rid of these like oranges that I don't really want in the clip. It's nighttime, I want it to look cold. So yeah, cooling off the image with our temperature slider here. We'll add another node beforehand and title this Contrast. Open up our curves. Again, make sure we have editable splines enabled, and I'm just gonna add a bit of a contrast curve, lifting the highlights and slightly dropping the shadows. Very slightly, very subtly. We'll lift it as well for a tiny bit of fade. Yeah, that looks a bit nicer. Okay, clean makes the image pop a little bit more. Now we're gonna add a node after our LUT node, and here we're gonna add a bit of sharpness in the blur section and turning down the radius to about 0.48. To add a bit of sharpness. And another way to actually add clarity and sharpness into your image is using this mid/detail. So instead of turning it down like we did last time to soften the image, you can actually turn it up to add clarity into the shot. So if I overdo it, you can see what it's doing. It's adding clarity. So I'm only going to put it to about 15 on the same sharpen node. That before and after there is doing a little bit of sharpening to our shot. So we're going to title this Sharp. I'm gonna add another node after our sharpen node, and this is an effect I like to add onto my night footage. We're gonna type in lens distortions, drag and drop that on there, change this to 0, and it brings all of them back up to 0, then untick this and type in around 0.07. And if we zoom in here and look at the edges of our clip, if I do some before and after, you can see it's adding a little bit of lens distortion, chromatic aberration to the shot, and it just looks really cool for the night footage. I like doing that. And you can muck around with the different color distortions. If you want red, green, blue, you can muck around with them and adjust these parameters, but I like using the red distortion to around 0.0708. It adds a nice little bit of blue and this like pinkish red chromatic aberration into the clip. It looks so sick. What can I call this node? Lens dis, we'll call it lens dis, that'll do for now. And you can do everything I've just done in the free version of DaVinci Resolve, but if you want to take this clip further and make it look even nicer, I'm going to add another node to the start of our nodes here. We're going to open up this tab right here and add a bit more noise reduction in post. So for frames, we're going to go 5, better, large, turn this up to around 20, 25, that should do. Over here, you just want to uncheck this link and turn up the luma to about 2.2, just around there. And as you can see, the before and after of just that node, it's further trying to clean up the noise in the image. Ace Pro 2 Pure Video Mode already does a really good job at noise reduction, but helping it out even further by using this tool in DaVinci Resolve makes the footage look even cleaner. Let's turn this up a little bit more. Yeah, that looks really nice. I'm happy with that. We'll label this noise reduction, and the next node I'm going to show you, which is in between our sharpness and LUT node, we're going to rename to curves and open up the curve section here. We're going to unlink all of the colors and go into the red color here. We're also going to uncheck editable splines as we want to adjust it more manually. And I'm going to come around here, add a point, and drag down the red further into the blues. As you can see, it's adding this nice bluish teal green color into the shadows, making the image look even cooler and like it's a super cold eerie night. So yeah, see that before and after? Just dragging the red curve down into the shadows, which is producing this blue in our shadows, which looks really, really nice. Yeah, I'm happy with that. A little bit too much, let's bring it back up. Yeah, that's really clean. Come over to our next image here and we can simply apply that grade over to this one. And as you can see, boom, it's looking nice. Clean, ready for an edit. So here is our clip color graded. This is with stabilization turned on, and this is our other clip color graded with stabilization turned off. Personally, I prefer stabilization turned off look. Looks a little bit better to me. And that's my process when color grading my POV night footage with the Ace Pro 2 in pure video mode. And again, you'll definitely be able to follow these same editing techniques no matter what action camera you have, but filming on the Ace Pro 2 and being able to shoot in the pure video mode gives a massive advantage and makes color grading later on in post much easier.